welcome to Jewishnews TV. Making news this week, a recent documentary, Killing Kast-na, has led survivors and Holocaust scholars to rethink the legacy of Dr. Israel Kast-na. Dr. Kast-na rescued 1,600 Jews during the Holocaust, but was also branded a traitor after negotiating with Adolf Eichmann. The film has led to debate about how Dr. Kast-na should be remembered. The documentary will be shown in Sydney and Melbourne at the upcoming Festival of Jewish Cinema. Meanwhile, as the UN General Assembly prepares to discuss the Goldstone Commission report on Gaza on November 4, a video on the website YouTube criticising the report is building steam. The video features the October 16 testimony of former commander of British forces in Afghanistan, Colonel Richard Kemp. He spoke before the UN Human Rights Council in Geneva, defending the actions of Israel during the Gaza war.
Mr. President, based on my knowledge and experience, I can say this. During Operation Cast-led, the Israeli Defence Forces did more to safeguard the rights of civilians in a combat zone than any other army in the history of warfare. Israel did so while facing an enemy that deliberately positioned its military capability behind the human shield of the civilian population.
And you can find the video on un.org. And for more on world affairs, we now cross to Aaron Shapiro in Melbourne.
Thanks, Lexi. The top news this week is Iran, which has said that it will respond as early as today to a deal that would ship a large portion of their stockpile of enriched uranium to Russia and France to be refined into fuel rods for nuclear power purposes and returned to them. Both Israeli Defense Minister Ehud Barak and opposition leader Tzipi Livni oppose this offer in its current form because they say it would allow Iran to continue to enrich uranium domestically and merely delay Iran's ability to produce a nuclear weapon. Nevertheless, Israeli officials are still monitoring the talks closely for any sign that Tehran may be ready to scrap its nuclear program and avoid a future confrontation with Jerusalem over the matter. Back to you, Lexi.
Thanks, Aaron. Now to arts news. Magazine icon Mia Friedman's recently released memoir, Mamma Mia, reveals that despite her glossy magazine image, she's had her fair share of personal lows.
I've always tried to write honestly, and I've always enjoyed dismantling the stereotype of the sort of glossy magazine editor or person in the public eye with the kids and the great job, which I have, but, you know, there's a lot of stories and flaws behind that.
Mamma Mia is out in all good bookstores, and you can watch the full interview with Mia Friedman on jewishnews.net.au. And Friedman also made headlines this week alongside model Sarah Murdoch in their campaign to promote healthy body image in young women. We now cross to David Weiner for the Sports Roundup.
Thanks, Lexi. It's good to be off the injured list and back in action this week because we have some exciting news coming out of the UK. Sydney Maccabi Hakoah youngsters Robbie Ezekiel and Gillard Swartz spent a week trialling with English Division 1 club Oldham Athletic, and they impressed enough to be invited back for another trial, this time next year, where they'll be gunning for a permanent deal. We still await results of 20-year-old Lawrence Brodie's stint in England. In other news, Olympic baseball silver medalist Gavin Fingelson is set to be inducted in the Louisiana University Hall of Fame. Fingelson, who is currently the fielding coach for the Sri Lankan cricket side, played in America in the late 90s. In Melbourne news, the Ajax Cricket Club had a tough day at the office with no wins across 5 sides on the weekend. But in Sydney, Maccabi's Super League futsal side has claimed top spot 5 matches into their season after a 4-0 win over Liverpool on Saturday night. They're the sports headlines. Back to you, Lexi.
Thanks, David. And let's hope the futsal team will stay on top of the table. Coming up next week, we take a look at the rise of the far right in Britain and what the repercussions are for Australia. For all these stories and more, check out the Australian Jewish News, available every Thursday at your local newsagent. And log on to jewishnews.net.au for all the latest in news and views in the Jewish world. We leave you with a clip from the heyday of iconic entertainer Don Lane, who passed away last week. Thanks for joining us. I'm Lexi Landsman, and this is Jewishnews TV.